And I give the floor to International Service for Human Rights.
President, the International Service for Human Rights brings to the attention of this Council that since the adoption of Resolution 1719 on human rights, sexual orientation and gender identity 3 years ago, special procedures have continuously received allegations of violations perpetrated against LGBT people across the world. The UDHR stipulates that everyone is entitled to rights and freedoms without distinction of any kind. Over the last decades, the human rights system has afforded attention to many issues and rights of groups that were not explicitly mentioned in the UDHR, but nevertheless are covered by its protection, including the rights of migrants and older persons, as well as the right to water, concern about transnational cooperation and sovereign debt. ISHR calls on states at the Council to support the draft resolution on sexual orientation and gender identity, presented by Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Uruguay, which simply affirms the application of existing human rights standards to those who face violations because they are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, and calls for further information and dialogue on discrimination and violence based on sexual orientation and gender identity and diversity. The Council has a duty to ensure that it adequately and effectively responds to particular violence and discrimination faced by LGBT persons by at least requesting regular reporting specifically focused on this ground. Regular documentation and reporting is important for generating a stronger understanding of the nature and extent of violations and promotes the sharing of good practices to facilitate all states to develop effective laws and policies to respond to the particular kinds of violations faced by LGBT persons in all parts of the world. Finally, Mr. President, in light of VDPA calls for the establishment of national human rights institutions and this Council's condemnation of reprisal, we express our grave concern at charges of treason leveled at the Maldives Human Rights Commission yesterday in connection with their report to the UPR. Thank you, Mr. President.